And we are live with a brand new episode of the 13th Man podcast. It's our second week in a row after a month off. Thank everyone for tuning in. We got NFL talk, a lot of interesting week 8 headlines came up. The NFL trade deadline has passed. Not a lot of trades, but still some that make some teams a little bit better. Desmond King was on the move. Pittsburgh made a trade shortly after their game against Baltimore. So we do have some things to talk about. But Frankie, how are you doing through all this? I know you're in school. How has the online learning been?
Awful, buddy. Absolutely atrocious.
I mean, I'm happy I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah. It's been bad. Long story short, some of the classes aren't going too great, Shane. We got to figure that out. So that's been the reason behind the lack of articles, actually. So it's a good thing you bring that up. But that is why we haven't been posting too much. And on top of that, with no CFL season, Tyson and Dave have been kind of taking some time off, chilling a little bit. So we're still hoping to get some more. And hopefully they'll be coming in the next little bit. And we're also hoping to get some NFL writers at some point as well. So if you're interested in that, send us a line on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, and I mean, for our non-football or, for our diverse sports fans who are listening, we both have other podcasts going on. I got my Sens Hour podcast covering the Ottawa Senators for the Hockey Podcast Network, and you have your HPR Hockey Prospects report kind of diversing into the world of hockey prospects, which we don't have a lot of that going on in the for hockey right now. So if you are interested to see what we have going on, that's where we can. That's where you can find us. For the most part, right now, hockey season's kind of ramping up. There's a lot of talk about when hockey season's going to start and whatnot. So that's where you can find us. But for this podcast, it's an interesting week. Week 8, we're heading into week 9. One undefeated team left in the NFL. It's my Steelers, baby. Let's go. We got a 3-game streak going with Dallas, Cincinnati, and Jacksonville. Before we play Baltimore in week 12, we could be 10-0 by the end of the week, or by the time we play that game. I am super excited for Thanksgiving Thursday with that Thursday night matchup against the Ravens again.
Hey, Shane, I don't know if you saw this, but the Dallas Cowboys are reportedly benching Ben DiNucci.
Yeah, and they're going to start Cooper Rush instead of going out and signing like a guy like Colin Kaepernick, or going and maybe trying to trade for a quarterback before the deadline at 4:00.
Oh, they're screwed anyway. Like that, Dak Prescott hit a lot of issues with that team.
100%. I think there's talk that they're going to tank and they're going to tank and try drafting Trevor Lawrence. And if Dak Prescott somehow ends up out of Dallas, I want him to go to a team to have success. I don't care where it is. I just want him to go out and have success and beat up on the Cowboys. I would love for him to go to the Washington football team or another NFC team where they can play each other, at least once a year and just kind of beat up on the Cowboys.
I haven't decided yet if this means Dak is going back to Dallas or if he's not. And I can't decide which way I'm leaning with that.
I think you'd be stupid not to bring him back. But if you're Dak, you're most likely he's going to get franchise tag. I think it's relatively important. He's not actually going anywhere unless they were to finish last and they were to draft a guy like Trevor Lawrence. But what they could also do is, trade that pick. We've seen plenty of teams kind of get a stockpile of picks for that first overall. But I don't know. I feel like with Jerry Jones, you really have no idea what the hell is going to happen.
It's rough, too, because if you're the Dallas Cowboys, I know Dak Prescott is kind of your thing, right? He's kind of your whole team at this point. What's a franchise tag going to cost? It's going to cost you 30-something million a year, right?
And then 34.5 or something like that.
Yeah. Are you going to spend that on your quarterback?
I mean, you should, but it should be in a long-term deal.
Exactly. Like if you're going to franchise tag Dak, he's only going to get more and after. So if you're going to sign him, you do it now. If not, then I don't know. I guess it's Ben DiNucci's football team or Cooper Rush's football team. But I honestly, I'm looking at that team, and before DiNucci started, like when he came in after Dalton was hurt, you know what the first thing I said, Shane, is?
What was the first thing you said?
The first thing I said is there's not a chance in hell Ben DiNucci is a better quarterback than Colin Kaepernick. There's not a chance in hell he's better than Bo Levi Mitchell, and I guarantee you he's not better than Mike Riley. There's no way Ben DiNucci should be starting a football game.
100%. And I mean, I would be very hard pressed. Like, you know, Colin Kaepernick deserves to be in the league. His skill alone. The other question is, you know, if he's been out of football for what, 4 years now? It's
been a while.
Like I think 2016 was his last year in the league. You know, is he NFL? Is he game day ready? I don't know. I honestly have no idea if that's something like looking at it in the short term. It's kind of hard to bring a guy like that in because how ready is he?
But you know, how ready is Ben DiNucci?
Not ready if you ask Jerry Jones.
Like
he wasn't ready for it. But no. I think, you know, and I mean, it also depends on how you're because I'm pretty sure because you signed Colin Kaepernick, but he's not playing for at least a week, maybe two. Because I'm pretty sure with their COVID protocols, he has to isolate for like 10 days. So, okay, so let's say you sign Colin Kaepernick. He's probably not starting, even if you signed him last week, he's not starting at that until week 10, 11. At the earliest, probably week 10. I wouldn't see him starting against Pittsburgh in week 9. So, as much as we can say, oh, you know, Colin Kaepernick deserves to be get signed. You know, you're signing a guy for 2 weeks out. I'm pretty sure if Dalton didn't get on the COVID list, he might have been able to start. Like I think that was the whole thing was that he should have been able or was on pace to be ready to start against Pittsburgh this week until he got hit with COVID.
Yeah. Do you want to get to our week 8 slate of games? Talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean they plenty of some upsets, some close calls.
Yes.
You know, Lamar Jackson looked normal. So, you know, we got plenty.
The whole Lamar Jackson thing, he's turning the ball over a lot. Like that.
Yeah, he put it on the ground, I think, 4 times. Put it on the ground twice and then threw 2 interceptions.
Yeah. It's
I don't know if it was called in a fumble on basically their second last drive. Where it was a turn, I think it was a turnover. It was marked as a turnover on downs. I don't know if it was actually listed as a fumble, but he did let go of it. But you know, since we're going to talk about this, you know, I'm gonna run this play because this guy Spillane deserves so much credit.
It's been a great third down defense the last 2 weeks. The Steelers, and they've got an interception and a run back all the way home. It's Spillane with the touchdown on the pick 6.
Lane deserves so much credit. People were questioning. He replaced Devin Bush. He came in when Devin Bush got hurt. Played well the rest of that game 2 weeks ago. This is the second time in a week he's had like 2 weeks. He's had a highlight kind of moment where he stood up Derrick Henry against Tennessee. And then at the goal line stood him up, and
so did Josh Norman.
No, Josh Norman got stood up.
Well, Josh Norman actually made Derrick Henry like stand up to throw him down. You know?
Yeah, but no, Spillane knocked Henry down, made it contact to contact, stomped him short of the goal line against Derrick Henry, man on man, and he's just jumped into this situation where he's replaced Devin Bush, and the defense hasn't really missed much of a step.
Yeah. That Steelers team, I saw something about their win projections the rest of the season. I think the lowest that it gets for them is a 42% against Baltimore in that second game. The Buffalo game I was looking at, it actually surprised me. It was like a 67% win probability. And looking at that from the Steelers side of things, like I'm seeing their fans saying that Buffalo is playing really well and that's going to be a tough game. From the Buffalo side of things, Shane, I can tell you that the Bills are going to get mollywopped by the Steelers when that game happens, if the Bills continue to play like they are right now.
I think the problem with Pittsburgh, and like I've said it after the game, people are saying, "Oh, Pittsburgh's the best team in the league." Pittsburgh's not the best team in the league. On paper, I would have to give the edge to Kansas City, especially offensively. But
yeah, but the Steelers have the defense, and those two teams are going to go head to head at some point.
But we've been in way too. Yeah, they're going to go head in the playoffs. They don't play each other in the season.
Yeah.
But if you look on like our games, like our scores have been relatively close. Like missed field goal against Tennessee to win. A 4-point comeback, come from behind win against Baltimore. Once if our offense can find its consistency, yes, we'll become the best team in the league. But until then, there are drives where you look at it and you're like, what the hell are you doing? And then there's drives being like, this team's going to go on to win a Super Bowl.
Now,
and I think if you're going against Buffalo, Josh Allen can win a game by himself.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why Josh Allen has I think he's won 21 games in his career, and 11 of them have ended up being game-winning drives the fourth quarter. Like the Bills are a good team. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the Bills are a Super Bowl team right now. They're certainly not playing that way. That defense is absolutely abysmal. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing to watch half the time, frankly. But the Steelers, I was listening to the Locked On Bills podcast today. I do that every day. I love those podcasts. But the host was saying that it's something like 48% or 42 something percent of NFL games are decided by 8 points or less. And that's it's by far the most common scoreline, right? 8 points or less. That's how you win in the NFL. I'm not concerned about the Steelers winning by a missed field goal. I'm not concerned about the Bills winning by, 3 points against the Patriots, because that's how NFL games are. They're close games. It's not like the CFL where you air it out, you score 40 points a night and you beat teams by 15, right? The NFL is a much closer, tighter quarters, and it really plays out that way in the scoreboard too.
Agreed. But I mean, if you're a Super Bowl team, you don't expect to be in those positions going into the fourth quarter, right? And I think,
you're talking about beating the Titans the Titans are one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, but you also had a 17-point lead going into the second half, and you basically squandered it. You had 3 points in the second half, and 24 in the first. There was no once, and then again, you had 7 points in the first half, and 7 or 14 points in the first half, and then you had, 14 points in the second half, and realistically, that pick six for Spillane was the game winner. For Pittsburgh, and it's just if you can find the consistency in that offense, they are going to be a lot more dangerous team. If you can keep the defense on the sidelines rested and feeling good, Pittsburgh is a Super Bowl winning team.
One more thing about Pittsburgh before we move on, just to kind of ease your nerves about the Steelers long term here. There's no such thing as a bad football team in the NFL, right? We saw that with. Well, you want to look at the Jets, but if you do not show up to a game against the Jets, you will lose, right? The Bills played the Rams. They were up 28-3. They almost blew it because there's no such thing as a gimme win. Everybody's going to scratch and claw until the very end. You've got to be the best team on the field for the majority of the game. You're not going to dominate a team for 60 full minutes. So if you beat a team by 3 points, great. If you beat a team by 21 points, fantastic. At the end of the day, they're both a win on the ledger. And that's all that you can really, talk about. So I would not be concerned about the Steelers right now. You're 7-0. You got one of the best defenses in the league. You've got weapons all over the field. 1 week Chase Claypool puts up 4 touchdowns. The next he's completely ineffective, and you still win.
I don't think he was ineffective. He just did exactly what was expected of him. He was getting coverage from number one coverage, and it allowed Juju to kind of go off.
Well, exactly. Even if those two guys are covered, fantastic. Okay, here's Deontay Johnson. Here's James Conner. Here's Benny Snell. Somebody's going to beat you.
Yeah, eventually. And if that O-line can stay healthy, again, I like their offense. It's just about finding consistency.
Yeah. Well, we got one more Steelers clip here, eh?
Yeah, we got the Claypool touchdown.
These guys make them have to communicate.
Looking right, going right, end zone, touchdown. It's Claypool with the touchdown catch.
Yeah, that's the next big Canadian star in the NFL. It's obvious at this point. Man,
probably will go down as probably the best Canadian player.
Yeah.
In NFL history.
Well,
not gonna lie,
right now. Who would you say that is right now?
Laurent
Duvernay-Tardif.
I don't think there is. I don't think like you can look at a lot of Canadians and be like, "Oh, he's the best Canadian." I mean, there's been a lot of product. I mean, if you're looking at Canadian Football League, that's different. But like as a Canadian, I don't know. It's hard to tell really because they've always been kind of subpar, mediocre. They're not, big name players for the most part.
Literally the only one that I can think of right now that's a key player to a team is Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. That's it.
Yeah, and even then, he's been kind of replaceable.
Yeah.
Because it's KC.
Well, the Chiefs would like to have him right now, though, but he's out here fighting COVID. He's a big boy here.
Yeah, freaking doctor.
Yeah. We've rambled on and on about your Steelers. Let's ramble on and on about my Buffalo Bills. The Bills played the Patriots this week. This was 9 years since they had beaten the Patriots at home or something. The Patriots didn't have Julian Edelman. They didn't have N'Keal Harry. Didn't have Stephon Gilmore. And you can point to that all you want. But the Buffalo Bills playing with a banged-up John Brown, without Micah Hyde, a banged-up Matt Milano, and a banged-up Tremaine Edmonds. Both teams had big-time injuries on both sides of the ball. And the Buffalo Bills managed to find a way to out-duel the Patriots, even though it was a lot closer than it should have been. If Gabriel Davis catches the friggin' ball in the end zone, Shane, I don't know if you saw that. Josh Allen was rolling out. He threw a perfect ball right to the hands of Gabriel Davis, and he dropped it. The Bills ended up settling for a field goal at the end of the game, and that's why the game ended up as a 3-point difference. But, Shane, I'm going to show you a picture right here. That right there, tackling Jeremiah Mazzoli, is Justin Zimmer. Why is that relevant? This is why.
2002. Newton will keep it. Newton. Oh, he lost the ball. Buffalo takes over. Cam Newton coughs it up with 31 seconds left. The Patriots turn it over. It is recovered by Marlowe. And the Bills are 31 seconds away from ending this streak. The punch out by Justin Zimmer.
And Justin Zimmer has made a name for himself this season here in Buffalo. You remember where he went to school, Lion? He went to that power known as Ferris State.
That's right.
Why is he wearing a lineman number, though?
He's wearing 61. He was signed off the practice roster a couple of weeks ago. So he just kind of took whatever was available. But Shane, the ex-CFLer just made the biggest play in the game to beat Bill Belichick. And I think that's the headline for us right here. I don't care what the score was. I don't care who was injured on either side of the football on either team. An ex-CFLer just beat Bill Belichick.
That's not true. He ended up saving the game.
He saved the Bills' ass.
He didn't single-handedly beat Bill Belichick.
Well, you know what? He's like one of
It's not like he had 6 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, an interception.
He had a forced fumble.
Yeah, but he didn't have 6 sacks.
A clutch one, because if the Patriots were scoring a touchdown on that drive, if that didn't happen. The Bills defense, it was like a hot knife through butter on that final drive. The Bills were not good enough the whole day. Offensively, they ran the ball well, thankfully. It's great to have John Feliciano back. Zach Moss, I think, is going to be the primary back for Buffalo pretty soon. Devin Singletary's been a little bit disappointing. Glad he's on my fantasy team. Yay.
Yeah, I feel bad for Belichick, though.
I don't.
I do.
You kidding me?
No, because everything that has gone that could go wrong for New England this year, from the amount of players, they had 7 starters opt out of the and like from the team, and then you had injuries. Like everything that could have gone wrong for Belichick has gone wrong. And people are going to look at it as, oh, you know, Brady made Belichick, even though that's not the case. You know, you're comparing apples and oranges at that point, because realistically, Brady has a stacked team. You know, Brady has a lot of weapons. And
we're going to talk about another one of those weapons here in a couple of minutes.
I don't think, like, if Brady was still on that team with Belichick this year under the same situations that New England has, and then you put Newton in Tampa with the same kind of roster, Tampa still has success and New England still struggles.
Cam Newton, there's something wrong with Cam Newton. He cannot throw the ball anymore. Like when I watch that game, it's the comparison's always been made between Josh Allen and Cam Newton. And I don't know if it's just that Cam Newton is starting to get up there in age and he's falling off a little bit. Cam Newton does not have the arm to win you a Super Bowl anymore.
No, he's been banged up. He's been hit too much. And this is where a problem lies, is that he was treated, say what you want, but man, Cam Newton was abused.
Oh my God.
He was treated so differently than a guy like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. You know, if you go on YouTube, there's video after video of just hits to the head that this guy has taken.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, that weren't called penalties. And I mean, I've been one of those ones who, as much as headshots need to be taken out of the game, there's some things that are just unavoidable, and you shouldn't be penalized for an unavoidable contact. You know, there are hits that, unfortunately you make head contact, but that's just the game. It happens. There's a clear difference between intentional head contact and unintentional head contact. If you watch these videos, it's intentional head contact towards Newton that wasn't called.
He took abuse, man.
And I've been one very vocal because I like the Panthers. I followed the Panthers. You know, I was cheering for them for the last 15 years. You know, Steve Smith and whatnot back then. Grandparents my grandparents were in Carolina when I was a kid, so I kind of, you know, paid attention to it. But if you watch Cam Newton when he was coming into the league, this roughing the passer stuff was never called on him, and it's the biggest joke. Roughing the passer has become the biggest joke in the NFL.
Well, it's the same deal in the CFL, right? Like, I know for a fact when I go to watch Mike Riley at TD Place, if you touch him, you're getting a penalty. If I go to watch when Calgary comes and Bo Levi Mitchell is quarterbacking the Stampeders, if he gets touched, the flag is coming out. Then you throw guys like, I'm not going to use a Red Blacks example. Matt Nichols does not get those calls. Jeremiah Mazzoli does not get those calls. Nick Arbuckle does not get those calls. He's a Red Black now, but I'm using last year as an example here. Cody Fajardo did not get those calls last year. It's the same deal in the NFL. Tom Brady gets those calls. Aaron Rodgers is going to get them. Guys like Josh Allen, Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson kind of gets them, but the more running guys will not get them.
There was one play a couple of weeks ago where it was literally it was on Pittsburgh, and I think it was Cameron Hayward or Stephon Tuitt, and he tackled him shoulder to chest, and Momenti carried him down, and that's a good hit. That is a clean football hit, and it was flagged for unnecessary roughness or roughing the passer.
Yeah,
you know, even against Baltimore, Lamar Jackson gets pushed out of bounds, even though there's no clear indication that that's where he's headed, and they call unnecessary roughness. But
did you see the one with Russell Wilson on Sunday night?
No, I did not.
So Russell Wilson he kind of faked a slide and then decided he was going to slide afterwards, and the guy hit him on his way down. But you can't make the argument of, he was starting his slide, but then he gave up. He came back. I wish we had that clip. We didn't get it, but you can't give the quarterbacks full protection if they're going to slide and then have them fake the slide.
Here's my thing when it comes to quarterback sliding. If he is making the motion to go down and starts his downward motion, you have 3 seconds or 3 steps from that
be able to line a guy up and hit him in the face, right?
No, but I'm saying that as someone who's been on that side of the ball with a slide, you don't know if that person is sliding or not. Like, unless it's a clear indication of him going to slide, if you are in front of him within a yard of each other, you don't know if he's going to slide and you're going to hit him because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times I've seen calls where the guy goes like, as he's literally right in front of a guy, the guy is making a hitting is starting his hitting sequence or his tackling sequence, and the quarterback starts his sliding sequence. And in my opinion, there should be no penalty. Suck it up and deal with it. Take the contact, but it's those calls that are, are clear penalties. And there's a the chintzy nitpicking shit needs to end in the NFL, because it's either you nitpick everything or you nitpick nothing.
Yeah. Let's move on to one of the other big surprises of the week. Titans, Bengals, and by God, is Joe Burrow ever elite?
I mean, I'm not going to call him elite just because I've been one of those people who have constantly been showing me a second season. He's very good. And I said this with Patrick Mahomes after his rookie, like his first year as a starter. I'm like, cool, he had one really good year. Doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Let him see him doing it again. And he did it, and he won a Super Bowl. So do I think Joe Burrow is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year in the NFL? 100%. As much as I think Claypool could be in the conversation, as well as Claire Edwards-Helaire out of Kansas City, it's going to be Burrow. Do I think he's elite? Not at all. I think he has to come in again next year and prove it. But
I think, obviously he's going to have to come in and prove it again. But if you gave the Cleveland Browns Joe Burrow over Baker Mayfield, do you think it would make a difference?
No, because their coaches don't know how to utilize Baker Mayfield. If you watch
Baker, throw.
But he can. If you watch Cleveland games, their best success has Mayfield moving, rolling out, bootlegs, moving that pocket. He can hit someone 30 yards downfield on the run consistently and accurately when he's on the run. But for some reason, the coaches don't understand that and have him sitting in the pocket. They don't have him bootlegging. They don't have him moving out and moving side to side and moving in the pocket. Yeah. And that's where Mayfield gets issues. If you were to put Burrow in Cleveland, he fits Cleveland's scheme a little bit better than Mayfield. But in my example, if you put Mayfield in Arizona, if you put Kyle Murray or Lamar Jackson in Cleveland and put Baker Mayfield in Cleveland or in Baltimore or Arizona, he's having just as much success as those guys are because he fits the scheme that they're running.
Yeah. Another one that I think would be interesting is if Joe Burrow was the quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams. I think that would be a much better team if that was the case. That's no disrespect to Jared Goff, but he was a first overall pick. Like, I don't know. Goff is they're paying him. They're paying him way too much.
Yeah, but I mean, I would still take Goff over Trubisky.
Yeah, I'd take Goff over Trubisky, but I'd take Burrow over Goff.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's hard to really compare quarterbacks because it really comes down to their situation. And yeah. I hate the Mayfield disrespect because I honestly think that he's been put in a situation. If you watch him you watch Cleveland when they're having success, he's moving in the pocket. Like if you watch him against Cincinnati, most of those 15 for 15 passes were on the move in some capacity.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm just putting together my list of the order I think that the quarterbacks taken in that 2018 draft class would be. And I've got Lamar Jackson, number 1, Josh Allen, number 2, Baker Mayfield, number 3, Sam Darnold, number 4, and then Josh Rosen, number 5.
See, I don't agree with that. If we're going to continue with the class, like with the the order that is the draft class, I think Allen goes first.
As far as like, not like redraft, because we all know that Lamar had question marks going into the draft. People wanted him at receiver and everything. But as far as like who the best quarterbacks have been out of that class,
Yeah, I'd still put and this is no disrespect to Lamar. I still think Allen is a better overall quarterback. He has better arm strength, better accuracy than Lamar. I think people forget the situation that Lamar is in.
oh yeah,
They didn't need to draft Lamar Jackson. Baltimore didn't need a quarterback when they drafted Lamar Jackson.
well,
You know, if you look at the coaches that are around these quarterbacks, John Harbaugh is the best coach outside of all of them. And I think if you put any of these 4 quarterbacks in Baltimore, they have success because John Harbaugh made Joe Flacco look like a top 5 quarterback.
now you can call me biased, but if I'm the Bills, I wouldn't take Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen. But if I'm the Ravens, I also wouldn't take Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson. I just think the two of them fit those teams really, really well. I wouldn't give up Josh Allen for the world right now.
But I mean, I think if you look at Joe Flacco's Ravens and the system that they ran, John Harbaugh switched his system to fit Lamar Jackson's skill set.
That's what good coaches do.
And he would have done the same thing with Josh Allen.
Oh
If
yeah,
you're Baltimore, I think if you pick any of these quarterbacks, you're fine with John Harbaugh as your coach. So if I had to pick, if I'm Baltimore, I had to pick. Honestly, I would have picked any. I'd be confident picking, and if I'm a Ravens fan, I would be confident in repicking any of these players because I know my coaching staff will get the best out of them.
yeah. Let's quickly pull up that clip, that Joe Burrow clip. And this didn't end up in a first down or anything. It didn't end up in a touchdown, but it's just a little bit of magic.
On the day. Big 3rd and 10. Can Tennessee get off the field? Burrow feels the pressure, escapes a couple of times. Here they come again. Burrow still on his feet. Burrow pulling a Houdini.
So 2 things. Those jerseys, that color rush set, beautiful.
Oh yeah.
If they had a white helmet with the black stripes, amazing. Second, tackling has been shit. And third, that's just fantastic work by Burrow.
Yeah. Titans fans should be ashamed. They talked all that trash, and then they get beat by the Steelers, and then they get beat by the Bengals. Shut your mouths.
Yeah, if you don't know, Frank had a little bit of beef with some Titans fans because the Titans beat the Bills and then proceeded to lose the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Like, go ahead. You played well against the Bills. Didn't play that great against the Steelers. And you played like turds against the Bengals. So you better figure that defense out.
Here's a prime example of system. Ryan Tannehill. If you were to tell me that Ryan Tannehill would look like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL with him, seeing what he did in Miami, I would have called you crazy.
Yeah.
But here we are.
I thought they were crazy giving him that contract.
And he's done great work with it this year.
Yeah.
Like,
a little disappointing to see Marcus Mariota not have a place to play because I like Marcus Mariota.
Isn't he in Las Vegas now?
Well, he is, but he's a backup. Same with picks 1 and 2, I think, right? They went back to back in that draft. I believe is how that happened. The Bucks picked Jameis Winston, and then the Titans picked Marcus Mariota. Both are backups, and neither of them are with the team they started with.
Yeah, if you want to talk, you want to talk about bad systems. Jameis Winston in Tampa before Bruce Arians, and friggin' Marcus Mariota before Mike Vrabel, and then he just didn't fit Vrabel's system. I'm sorry to keep bringing up the systems, but like we always talk about, great player, and for some reason we always forget to talk about the coaches around those great players.
Yeah. I also just want to point out too, I want to quickly apologize for my lighting. I have the election on in the background. So my TV is now flashing off of my face different colors. I'm blue right now. So that's what's happening there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's some kind of election in the U.S. tonight or something, if you happen to care.
Damn.
Yeah. The next game I want to talk about, Shane, and it's not because I'm necessarily interested in what happened in this game, the Dolphins and the Rams. And I'm more so interested in the comments from the media saying that Tua is the best quarterback in the AFC East.
I mean, obviously they're going to hype up Tua. He was probably one of the most hyped up prospects going into a draft in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Even though,
crazy, they're talking about how good that Dolphins defense is. Didn't Josh Allen put up 400 yards against them? We're going to pretend like that didn't happen? We're going to pretend like Josh Allen isn't 6-2 right now?
Yeah, but media has a very short memory.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to hype. And this is my thing I hate about the draft.
He had 94 passing yards.
How does Tua go ahead of, how is Tua a higher draft pick than Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes?
Well, you're kind of comparing apples to oranges there.
I mean, not with Deshaun Watson. Very similar.
There was no Chicago Bears to come out and draft a guy that wasn't even supposed to go in the first round, number 2 overall.
But no, Trubinsky was selected was all season. All season, Trubinsky was marked to be the next great quarterback coming out of college. He was going to be, he was marked as a top 5 pick from before the preseason. He was,
but on some draft boards, he wasn't until
because
late
he had
in the first round.
Oh, I know, because teams actually know how to fucking scout and realize that when you're 8-5 as a starter,
not the Bears,
your 1 year as a starter in college, and you're 8-5 with the Tar Heels, and you have a guy who's been to, I think, 2 national championships, won one of them as a starter with Clemson, and you're considering him a 15th, a second round pick. That's where you're viewing him.
Can we talk about how different the Chicago Bears would have won a Super Bowl if they would have picked Deshaun Watson?
Hell, they would have won a Super Bowl if they picked Patrick Mahomes.
The Mahomes thing was interesting because Mahomes was always that big boomer bust guy, and I wonder if you put him in Chicago, if he would have had the same success, because he would have had to start right away. Would he have been able to find it the same way he did by sitting behind Alex Smith
for a year?
I don't think we would have had the same Patrick Mahomes if he was in a different situation. Deshaun Watson would have won that team a Super Bowl.
They would have at least been competitive. I don't know if they'd win a Super Bowl, but with this defense,
they had Khalil Mack. They had the offense.
Well, they still have Khalil Mack. Their defense is still good enough. They would just be in a better situation. The NFC is always a competitive conference, so it's kind of hard to say who, on a year-to-year basis, who's really going to come out of that NFC.
Yeah.
But they would have been a lot more competitive than they are now. They're lucky to have a win.
You're still talking about them now. They're 5-2 right now.
Yeah, and they're lucky to be 5-2. Offense has been garbage. The only reason why they're 5-2 is because they have fucking Khalil Mack leading the defense, who's just running roughshod over everyone.
But if you had a quarterback on that team, they'd be a hell of a lot better.
100%.
They might be an undefeated football team right now if they had a quarterback that was they're statistically worse with Nick Foles than they were Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah,
they're awful.
It baffles me because I don't and people do, and this is the thing, and this is why in the NFL has such a bad rep when it comes to, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. People were questioning the front office if there was some race issues with Chicago's front office. You look at everything on paper during that draft. Why did they why Trubinsky? And unfortunately, it doesn't shine a great light on that front office at the time of, there was some people who just didn't want to draft a black quarterback. They didn't think black quarterbacks can be an elite level quarterback in the NFL. There's a lot of scouts, and it's been an issue, If you look at Russell Wilson's 2013 was his 2013 or 2012,
right? Something like that.
2012 because it was the Andrew Luck draft.
Yes,
and
the year they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because he came in as a starter.
Yeah,
as a rookie. Yeah, and I mean, Andrew Luck was worthy of the first overall pick, I don't think. But I remember Cam Newton. There was so much backlash over Cam Newton being a top round, like a first overall pick in 2011. You know, with RG3, it was the same thing. You know, there's been consistently an issue with black quarterbacks because they're all labeled the same way. They all play the same
with Lamar
style.
Jackson too.
You know, you had it from Michael Vick, you had it from Donovan McNabb, Culpepper, like McNair, Vince Young was a prime example of a guy who just he went to Tennessee and Tennessee gave him a chance, but they didn't actually care for him. They didn't give him the protection he needed. Deshaun, and seeing how Trevor Lawrence is basically the consensus number one. No offense, but I would take Deshaun Watson over Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
As good as Trevor.
Deshaun Watson is so slept on for being an elite quarterback in the NFL.
And as much as I love Trevor Lawrence, as great as Trevor Lawrence is and how different that offense is in Clemson without Trevor Lawrence, we saw it last week against BC. You know, Deshaun Watson, there will always be frustration with Deshaun Watson because I felt like he should have been he should have been the first overall pick.
I wish he wouldn't have ended up in Houston because he could have been seriously like he'd be something special. He is something special, but he's stuck on a franchise that just traded away the best wide receiver in the league for a bum ass running back with a terrible contract.
I wish they just never hired Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
I wish they never did. I really wish that they never hired Bill O'Brien because, you know, how do you have this amount of elite talent and you suck?
Yeah.
You have Javon Clowney and JJ Watt, and then you have DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson. You have the Clemson connection, and then you have the tears on the ends in Watt and Clowney, and you ruin the relationship with Clowney and Hopkins.
Yeah. And you had a decent offensive line too. You had Laramie Tunsil out there. Like they had a good team.
I mean, you traded an arm and a leg for for Jeremy Tunsil.
Yeah, but let's move on to the Packers and Vikings. Because
Dalvin Cook, my man.
I got two questions about that game. One, are the Packers legit or not? And as crazy as it is to say this, as high as I was on the Green Bay Packers to start the season, I do not think they're on the elite tier anymore.
Only they've been on the elite tier all year.
Originally I'd had the Seahawks, the Chiefs, and the Packers up there. Those were the three teams I have up there.
See, I don't have any team in the elite tier because I don't think any team in the NFL is. Every team in the NFL right now has holes.
Well, the Steelers are in my elite tier now.
I mean, I'm honored to hear that, but I don't even have them as my elite tier.
See, that's because you're trying to be humble, right? But
it's also true. It's also very true.
But that's the thing. When you watch a team every game, like I saw it with Steelers fans. They were talking about how the Bills are going to be a tough game and everything, and I'm like, what? Are you guys crazy? Like, no way. When you watch your favorite team, you pick your favorite team apart because it's hard to be a fan with expectations. You expect your team to be perfect whenever you expect them to have a playoff run or a chance to win the whole thing, right? The Steelers are the best team in the league right now.
I don't think so. I think KC is still up there because I think KC can just pour it on you.
They are, but I think
I personally, if I was going to go head to head against KC and Pittsburgh, I would take KC because I think there's still consistency question marks on Pittsburgh's offense, and a team like KC, you can't have those question marks. You know, KC, as good as your defense can be, KC can pick apart the best defense in the league. They've done it before. They did it to Baltimore. And people will argue that Baltimore has a better defense, especially a better secondary than Pittsburgh. And KC picked apart Baltimore.
Yeah.
So, but to answer your question, I don't think Green Bay has it anymore. I don't think Green Bay is in it. Their defense is great. Offense, they've been kind of. I think they're on their third or fourth string running back right now, because they lost one of their running backs to injury. One of them got COVID. One of the other ones got COVID because they were in close contact, so they have to quarantine for 5 days. So they're not going to be play. So they're on their like fourth string running back right now. They've lost their second receiver in Lazar. Their offense just doesn't seem to be on a rhythm. A healthy Green Bay team, I'll put them there. The Green Bay team right now, not even close. They're not even a tier team. They're good, just not great.
That's what I'm thinking too. The second question I have coming out of that game is, do the Vikings have a chance at 2-5 to make the playoffs, do you think? Because I saw a different Vikings team there. It's very reminiscent of what happened last year with them when they started off really slow and then they turned it on at the end of the season. And now that there's an extra playoff spot, the Vikings just have to play really good football. Like, they can lose probably 1 or 2 games the rest of the season, but if they're able to pull off wins the rest of the way, I think there's a chance they can make the playoffs.
I was looking at the playoffs earlier. So you're looking at, they have a win percentage right now of 286. The last playoff team's at 625 at 5-3.
9-7 probably gets you in.
I don't know. I mean, when you look at it, the Saints are 5-2, Arizona's 5-2, LA is 5-3. The Bears are sitting outside of the playoffs at 5-3. Depends on what happens. I think they're and looking. I'm gonna look at the rest of their schedule. They might have a chance.
They can get, like, if they finish the season at 9-7 or 10-6, I think they've given themselves a chance. And that's not to say that they can, because they're 2-5 right now. It sounds ridiculous to call them playoff hopefuls.
So they play the Bears twice. They still have 2 more games against the Bears.
They should win those.
But outside of that, they play the Bucks and the Saints that are the only other teams ahead of them. I don't see that happening. And they play Detroit, that's ahead of them.
Like, I think,
oh my god. So they have they have a game against Detroit this weekend. Then they have the Bears. Then they have the Cowboys, Panthers. So the Panthers are ahead of them right now. Bears and Lions are ahead of them, and the Bucks or the Saints are ahead of them. And they play the Lions twice over the next 8 games.
Yep.
I'm not sure. It comes down to those games, really. If they can beat the Bears twice and the Lions twice, and win their division that way, I think they split the season series against the Packers. They beat the Lions twice, the Bears twice. They could slot in as maybe they'll win maybe if they make the playoffs, they're making it because they've won the division. It's that simple.
I don't know about that. I think, like, if you find a way to just get yourself to the 9-7, 10-6 range, like, that's probably going to require you to beat the Bucks or the Saints. You're going to have to do well in those games against the Lions and the Bears.
Well, you have a 8-game swing for the rest of the season. You have 2 against the Bears and 2 against the Lions.
Yeah, it's an incredible long shot for them to make the playoffs. But with the expanded format, I think that there's a slim chance.
I think they have a better chance
to be players. Oh, I don't know what's happened to Shane here, but we'll hold on a second here and see if Shane wants to come back. There we go. Good work.
I know, right? They have a better chance of winning the division than they do making the playoffs outside of the division. Considering how the Rams, the Cards, and the Saints are sitting.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Packers, because, like, if they can get back to that form that they had for the first 5 weeks of the season, they'll be fine, right? They're going to win that division. They're going to mop the floor with the rest of the way. But if they can't get back to that point and they continue to struggle and they can't stop the run, like Dalvin Cook exposed them,
Here's the thing. They're playing a banged up San Francisco team. No Kittle, no Garoppolo. They should win Thursday. The Green Bay should win Thursday. But if they don't, if they lose Thursday and the Minnesota wins on Sunday, you're sitting at like two games back.
2 games back. Like this is a lot closer than it should be right now.
And then depending on what happens with the Bears, because the Bears play Tennessee. So if you're the only team in your division to win, you're not just sitting 2 games back of the Packers. You're sitting, I believe, 2 games back as well from 2 games back behind Chicago and a game, and you're ahead of Detroit at that point.
Yeah.
So I think honestly, it really depends on how this weekend goes. This weekend can either make or break. If they lose this weekend, it's done for. But if they win and go to 3-5, they drop Detroit at 3-5 with the head-to-head on them. If Chicago goes to 5-4 with Green Bay going to 5-3, yeah, I mean 100%. Considering you play Chicago the following week.
Let's get to the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation.
Yeah, what happened with that? I have no idea.
So what I heard, there's a video of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson poking one of the Bears players in the face through his face mask. There's a claim that I can't remember the name of the guy that punched him, but he claims that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson spit on him. And this whole situation's awful. But it's kind of funny, too, because you watch Gardner-Johnson just get rocked in his face and just stand there like, wait,
bro, what?
What did you just do to me? Hold on. And then he gets punched again, and he's still confused. So I'm going to roll that here. And this one doesn't have any audio, but I also heard that Gardner-Johnson grabbed somebody's mouth guard, and that's what the Bears player is grabbing at the beginning. He grabs his mouth guard out of his face mask and rips it out, punches him again, and then grabs him and pulls him down.
Yeah, and I mean, great on the Saints player for just not doing anything and draw the flag and basically told the rest.
You punched a guy in a helmet, dude. It didn't hurt him.
Twice.
Don't be stupid. You hurt more in that situation than he does. But that game sucked. I didn't want to watch that game. So I got 2 more games that I want to talk about. I don't know if you have any more.
Possibly.
Because I want to talk about the Browns, Raiders, and then the Buccaneers and Giants. And the Browns Raiders thing is more so just to say the Cleveland Browns are still not legit. The Cleveland Browns are far too inconsistent to be a good football team.
Coaching is the biggest problem. We talked about it earlier in the show. Stefanski, get your head out of your ass and move Mayfield. Move him. Get him moving in the pocket. That doesn't just open up your passing game, it opens up your running game. You can zone blocking is the better of the two in terms of blocking schemes. Especially when your offensive line isn't that good like Cleveland's is. Cleveland's O-line isn't that good. You can't expect them to sit there and allow a team to run at them every single play. You have to move the pocket. You move the pocket, it opens up the play action. RPOs, involves your run game. Do better, Stefanski. Do better.
Yeah.
Because I could win with this team. I could be the coach of this team and win with this team because it's not hard. It's really not hard. You have the weapons throughout the lineup. Your play calling is shit.
Well, with Odell out now, you have to wonder what they have.
Odell's overrated.
Odell is overrated, but I don't think Jarvis Landry is anything close to Odell Beckham Jr.
No, he's better. In terms of consistency, in terms of a possession receiver, Odell's a one-trick pony.
He is.
Landry has more tools in the toolbox to work with.
But without Odell Beckham Jr. to take pressure off of Jarvis Landry.
And what pressure has he taken off Landry? What has Odell done? Really, how much
But
better?
Odell demands attention because if you forget about Odell, he'll beat you, right? He's going to be the guy that has the best cornerback of the other team on him. He's going to be the guy that gets more attention, and that's going to let Jarvis Landry come over the middle on a little bit of a drag route and have a ton of space. Without Odell, now all of a sudden Jarvis Landry's that guy. I don't know what else the Browns really have other than Odell and Jarvis Landry. Like, you're not doing anything with David Njoku. Like, your running game is pretty much all you have at this point.
But if you move the pocket, you move the offense, you do get involved. And that's the thing is that, like, if I'm a D coordinator, I am looking at this team and I am just all smiles. Especially
I want Baker
if I'm
in the pocket, dude. If you can keep Baker Mayfield in the pocket, he can't throw the ball to his left side.
Not in the pocket, no. He can't on the run. He's done it plenty of times. He just can't do it in the pocket.
Yeah.
He had a touchdown to Odell against Cincinnati. Was it Cincinnati? Where he moved bucket out right, bucket to the left and hit him on the run.
Yeah, that's not the clip we have, but
it was in the same game.
Yeah, because we have his DPI clip here still.
Yeah. Like, so Mayfield can do it. Stefanski just needs to get his head out of his ass and run him more. Move the pocket. Work those RPOs, work those because with Chubb and Hunt, teams are going to worry about the run. It's not like they can't not worry about the run. So if you have those plays in your toolbox, if you have those tools in your toolbox, which I don't think they have, you can win with Mayfield. You just need to be able to utilize him properly.
Yeah.
It's like having Lamar Jackson and not allowing him to run.
Well, that's kind of what's happening now.
Like, it's like if Baltimore just wanted Lamar Jackson to be a pocket passer, and it's not. You don't win with a guy like that.
Let's quickly throw on some Ben DiNucci trying to channel his inner Patrick Mahomes, because I think this is funny, because he tried to throw this ball sidearm to a guy who's out of bounds, and what you don't see from that angle is the 3 Eagles that are standing right there ready to pick this ball off, Shane. I just thought that clip was funny, and I wanted to share it.
But I mean, to be fair, like if Gallups if he throws it a little bit quicker, Gallups in bounds and then probably a reception.
But that's why he's going to sit on the bench next week.
I mean, hell, I don't care who you have as a quarterback. That defense is garbage. And
no, exactly.
You're going to lose no matter who you have as a starter. Like,
exactly.
Honestly, you could put friggin' Tom Brady out in there, Dallas. You could put Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Deshaun Watson. With that defense, you're going to lose. You're in a shootout all game. You're going to lose.
Yep. Last game I want to talk about, if you have another one after this, let me know and we'll talk about it. Buccaneers, Giants. And to me, the Buccaneers were gifted this because I'm gonna roll this clip right here. It's gonna shut us up for a second, but this is, for some context, this is the 2-point convert to tie the game with about 30 seconds left after the Giants just went all the way down the field to score a touchdown.
So the ball's back there. Winfield clearly gets to the receiver before the ball, JP.
I think it hits that right arm almost simultaneously with him hitting the receiver.
Yep.
This falls into the category of too tight, too quick at this moment of the game. Great job by the football officials tonight.
No, it's garbage. That's a pass interference.
That's pass interference.
That's as much as a pass interference as Malcolm Butler's missed pass interference on that game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks. If you make contact with the receiver before you make contact, hell, even if you do make contact with the ball, if you impede the receiver from making a play on the ball, it's pass interference. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's clear as day. That's pass interference. Yeah, he turns his head, still makes contact.
But
Still tackles him.
The thing that bothers me with that one the most is the fact that they threw the flag and then they reversed it.
But here's the thing, though, is that I'm okay with that because you can't you can't say, oh, because it's non-reviewable, you can't huddle up and then throw the flag. You have to throw the flag, huddle up, talk about it, and then either it stands or it doesn't.
But you can. But that's the whole thing. And what's his face? Alberto Riveron is the reason why this is an issue today. Alberto Riveron and his refusal to actually replay pass interference because it makes his officials look bad is the reason why we can't go back and make the right damn call. This is something the CFL has right.
And the NFL officiating has been garbage all year. It's been inconsistent. It's been ridiculous. It's been amateurish all year. And this just like there was one against Pittsburgh against Baltimore. Literally, the guy was getting held the entire way downfield, and there was nothing called. Pass interference is literally that and roughing the passer are the two weakest calls in football.
Here's my question for you: if he catches that ball and he's like this close to the goal line, and they rule him down, they can challenge that. If he's this far over the line and it's ruled a touchdown, they're going to review it and they're going to figure it out. 2-point converts are reviewed automatically regardless whether they're challenged or not. Why is pass interference not one of those things you can challenge?
Because the NFL game is already as slow as it is, and they don't want to make it any slower.
But it comes back to Alberto Riveron. Like I said, like last year things were challengeable, but not one single pass interference was overturned last year because Alberto Riveron didn't want his officials to look bad.
Yeah, it's all about ego and pride. It's ridiculous.
That's the whole reason.
Yeah, I mean, that's clear pass interference. The Butler interception in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, clear pass interference. If you make contact with the receiver before you actually make without allowing the receiver to make a play on the ball, it's pass interference.
Yep.
I don't care if you're running into him or if you're holding him. That's pass interference. There's nothing different with that play than it would be if you're running downfield and you pull on his shirt.
Now, call it because we're CFL guys and we're more used to seeing more pass interference and more of an offensive game. But I'd rather see more pass interference. Like that's PI. That's pass interference. The fact that isn't called ruins the game.
Odell Beckham's catch against Dallas technically should have been called OPI. He pushes off and throws the defender to the ground to make that catch. The amount of missed pass interference calls, and I understand there's some that can be avoided and some that need to be called. But the fact that the inconsistency in the call, there's some games in the same game, a little pull on the jersey is a pass interference, and then later in the game, you mug the guy and nothing gets called.
This is why I like the CFL, where you can. I like that they got rid of challenging illegal contact because that was just looking for a guy that had nothing to do with the play. That was
illegal contact. Stupid. They should just get rid of it.
Well, you shouldn't be able to just grab a guy and wrestle with him all the way down the field, right? I think it's a fair penalty, but the challenging it when it was happening on the other side of the field when the quarterback never looked his way was dumb. But the fact that you can challenge pass interference, and challenging pass interference was something that got the Red Blacks to the 1 yard line in the Grey Cup. You remember that?
Yeah.
Greg Ellingson was pulled down by the collar in the end zone before the ball was there. They challenged it. If they didn't, they would have been punting.
Yep.
So it changed the game. The Red Blacks end up winning that Grey Cup. If they don't challenge that and they just take the punt, they probably lose that game. I'm pretty confident saying that.
Okay, so one game that needs to be talked about, the Denver Broncos coming back and beating the Los Angeles Chargers. The team that everyone thought would probably be second in the AFC West sits fourth, while the team that everyone thought would be the last in the AFC West sits third. Yeah. Drew Lock, 248 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Justin Herbert, 278 yards, 3 TDs, 2 interceptions. This was just a great game that the Chargers just let them slip away. You gave up 21 points in the last quarter.
The Broncos would have a really good team if it wasn't for all of their injuries too. Like having Von Miller on that team would be huge.
Didn't they also lose Chubb for the year? Aren't there 2 defensive players? It's like San Fran. San Fran would be in a lot better situation if they didn't lose 3 of their top 7 players in like a week span.
Yeah.
Because they lost like Bosa and Solomon in the same game when like on the same drive.
Yep.
Like I think Drew Lock is a legit NFL quarterback. I like Drew Lock.
Yeah.
I think he has shown that he can be 100% an NFL starting quarterback, and I'm excited to see how he develops.
I am too. Like, I like Locke. I think that the Broncos team there, that has really good teams written all over it. Like you got guys like Jerry Jeudy that you've drafted. Drew Lock's going to be a good quarterback. You brought in Melvin Gordon. I don't know if you really should have. I think Philip Lindsay is serviceable, but you've got the running backs, you've got the receivers, you've got just players everywhere on defense. Like, that's going to be a good team, and it would have been fun to see if they weren't injured to all hell this year.
So they're sitting. Honestly, they're sitting 2 games out of the last wild card spot, sitting behind.
I give them zero chance.
Cleveland Browns at 5-3. They're only a game behind Miami and Las Vegas for that 8th seed in the AFC.
Vegas is taking that.
Really? You think that like Vegas? So looking at next week's schedule, Vegas plays the Chargers.
Yep.
Another AFC West matchup. I think Vegas is more consistent, but Denver plays Atlanta, and then they play Vegas. If both teams win, like this coming week, you're gonna have a team sitting at 4-4 and 5-3, heading into their matchup against each other.
Yep.
If Denver wins this game, let's say they go in, if they beat Vegas next week, do you think they have a chance of slotting in with the way that Cleveland has played, knowing that it's going to be between Denver, Miami, Las Vegas, and Cleveland for that last spot? There has to be a chance. If you're giving Minnesota a chance, who is 2-5, you have to give Denver a chance.
There's a chance. Sorry, I just got a notification that the Bills signed somebody.
Who?
So I'm just trying to figure out who that is.
Is it Vic Beasley?
No. But Daryl Worley is who it is. So, yeah, there's that for Bills news. Daryl Worley is now on the Buffalo Bills practice squad. But, see, I think the Raiders are going to make in the playoffs, and I think the Browns will end up making it. I don't think the Chargers are going to, or it's not the Chargers. I don't think the Broncos are going to have the clutch gene in them just yet. I think they're going to come up just short. I like that roster going forward. I think that there's some great foundations built there. And I really am. I'm rooting for Drew Lock. Like, I want that guy to be good.
Because I think you have to go. Like, personally, I think Denver has a better chance of making the playoffs than Miami or Cleveland right now.
Yeah.
But I think personally, I am going with the fact that, like, depending on how this week shakes up, how week 9 shakes up, if they both win, if somehow, some way, Las Vegas and Denver win both of their matchups this week, week 10 is going to be a very deciding factor. It's going to even be more important if for some reason the Chargers can beat the Raiders. If the Chargers beat the Raiders, that's a completely different ball game at 5-4 and a team against a 4-4 team in week 10.
Yeah. Just on also note, I'm just reading through this whole spiel of all the things that are going on in the NFL. Javon Wims, who is the receiver who punched,
isn't he suspended like 2 games?
He's going to appeal it. I don't know.
That's not surprising.
You know what? Honestly, if I was the guy who was hearing that appeal, I'd probably increase the suspension to 4 games. Just because, like, dude, you punched a guy in the face on the field. Not only did you did it twice. You punched him twice. You ripped his mouth guard out of his face, and you started a brawl. You're lucky you got 2 games. Shut up and take it.
So here's the thing. This is more Denver stuff. They play Atlanta. Their next 3 games are Atlanta, Raiders, Miami. And 2 of those teams are in their own conference, and they're trailing both of them.
Yeah.
So if they can win those 2 games, I think they're in a spot to like. And depending on how Cleveland plays or Indianapolis plays, I think there's a chance that Denver slots in. As slim as it is, I have to give Denver fans hope that they have a chance of the playoffs.
Obviously, if I'm going to take the same things that I said about the Vikings, I can easily apply them to the Broncos, and it's you just have to win your games. Like at this point, they're what right now?
They're 3-4.
You're 3-4. You're going to have to be 9-7. Like I think that's the lowest you can possibly be. Maybe 8-8 will squeak in. But you do not want to play Kansas City or Pittsburgh week in that
First
wild
game.
card round. That's a death sentence. You do not want to be 8-8.
I mean, even at 9-7, you're probably going to get.
I wouldn't be surprised if 9-7 got you the second wild card spot.
So here's the thing: the Broncos play the Raiders twice. The Broncos' remaining schedule is the Falcons, the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Chiefs, Panthers, Bills, Chargers, Raiders.
Not an easy game on there.
No, but if you can somehow sweep the Raiders, realistically, here are the games I think they're going to lose: Saints, Chiefs, Bills.
I think they lose at least once or twice to the Raiders.
So you're looking at splitting the final 9 games. You're gonna either go 6-3, which would put you at 9-7, or go 5-4, which would put you at 8-8. There's a chance they make the playoffs with that record.
There is, but it comes down like that Dolphins team, that defense, the way they're playing, that's not going to be an easy win at all.
No,
but those Raiders teams, there's a lot on the line there.
Like Cleveland's at 5-3, Indianapolis is at 5-2, Baltimore's at 5-2, and then you have Pittsburgh at 7-0, Kansas City at 7-1, 6-2 Bills, 5-2 Tennessee. Most of these teams are probably going to hit 9 wins.
Yeah. Let's switch over to next week so we can get out of here by like 9:00. That's good with you.
Yeah.
I've already done my picks, but we'll kind of do them together. Also to note, Antonio Brown is now active.
Yeah, fuck Antonio Brown. He's garbage. He's literally a one-trick pony.
A one-trick pony that only needs to be a one-trick pony because that team's going to be amazing.
Still a one-trick pony, and I never thought he was the best receiver in the NFL, even when he was with Pittsburgh. I liked him, thought he was good. Didn't think he was that great. There was plenty of other receivers that I much rather have.
Yeah,
with it in his time in Pittsburgh.
So on the next week front, our Thursday night matchup is going to be the Packers with a pissed off Aaron Rodgers playing against Nick Mullins without George Kittle. I don't know if Deebo Samuel is going to be there. I don't think Raheem Mostert is going to be there. The Niners are injured to shit. I don't see a way in hell the Packers lose this game.
I am taking I'm taking the Packers.
That does not surprise me at all. Also, we both went 8-6 last week. So you sit at 79-37-1. I sit at 74-42-1. I haven't recounted these yet, so there still could be some errors. But at the end of the season, I'm going to recount. We're going to figure it out. It should be mostly right, though.
Sounds good.
Our Sunday slate of games starts with the Houston Texans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who will not be led by Gardner Minshew, but instead be led by Jake Luton, I think his name is. It's not even Mike Glennon, man. Take the Jaguars here. I dare you.
What was the matchup? Oh, Houston. I'm taking Houston.
Yeah. That's like.
Sorry, I'm looking at election numbers, and oh my god.
I've got it on the background. I'm just seeing that Biden's currently leading, and I'll leave it at that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's like 14 states that are going red. Oh, it's
Awesome.
ugly. I mean, he's winning the electoral, which is good, 85-61. But overall votes, it looks like Trump's leading by like 1.3%.
Anyway, away from the election stuff because I don't want to think about that right now. The New York Giants and the Washington football team are meeting again. I am taking the Giants in this one, actually, because that performance against the Buccaneers was really inspired. And I don't think Kyle Allen is a good quarterback.
I mean, this can go either way. I'm going to have to go with
Absolutely.
Giants because I think Daniel Jones is a lot better quarterback than people give him credit for.
Me too.
So I'm going to go.
Me too.
I'm going to go Giants.
You know, I'm glad we're on the same boat there, Shane, because other than the fumbling thing, which I think he's going to figure out eventually, Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. He's just on a terrible team. The Ravens are going to Indianapolis, take on Phillip Rivers and the Colts. I'm picking the Ravens because it's a game the Ravens have to win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the Ravens too. They should win that game. Ravens over Colts, yeah. Should be a landslide for the Ravens. I don't think the Colts defense is as good or should be as good as like the Ravens should just be able to run all over the Colts.
That's what you would expect. But then again, Phillip Rivers might have some magic. But either way, I'm going the Ravens as well. The Lions and the Vikings is going to be a huge game. And I think the Vikings are ready to ride this wave. I'm taking them. Dalvin Cook's going to have another big game. Kirk Cousins, I'm thinking, is going to have a good game. And I think we're going to see a big-time game from Justin Jefferson.
I just think that with Dalvin Cook healthy, they're just going to run it over. They're going to run it down their throats. I'm going Vikings.
It makes me a little bit sad, too, that Matt Stafford is wasted away in Detroit, man.
Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders,
I really hope that they let Stafford go at the end of the season. And it's not so much because Stafford is their issue, but I just want to see Stafford go to a team where he has a chance to win.
Let's go to come to Pittsburgh, replace Big Ben.
You know, if the Steelers end up winning the Super Bowl, I would not be surprised at all to see Big Ben retire.
If Big Ben retires and Stafford's available, I like Stafford. I think Stafford would be a nice replacement, or just trade for Prescott.
Well, you might not even have to trade for him. Who knows?
True.
The Bears are taking on the Titans, and the Bears suck, and the Titans need to win this game. They're going to be pissed off. They've lost two in a row.
I don't even know this one. I'm tempted to take the Bears because I don't trust that Titans defense. I think I'm going to go Titans because I think Tannehill and Henry, you're asking, it's going to be offense versus defense. Will Tennessee's defense be able to do enough to stop the horrible Chicago offense? Or will the Bears defense stifle Derrick Henry and co. On that offense? But I'm gonna go Titans. I feel like Titans are gonna get some magic out. But this is a game that I would watch closely because I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears win. But I think Titans are gonna do it.
If the Titans lose, I want a personalized apology from every single one of those fans who gave me a tough time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I know it's not. I'm going to stop saying that these games are going to be something we don't have to talk about at all because we said that about the Packers and the Vikings. We've said that about some other ones that ended up being close. This is one that I would normally say that for, but Teddy Bridgewater, Christian McCaffrey might be back. I don't know. And the Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean, I think it's going to be KC, but I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina puts up a fight.
Oh, I think this is going to be a fun game. This is going to be a fun game.
I think this Carolina team's a lot better than people give him credit for. Yep. So I'm going to go. I'm going Chiefs, but I think it's going to be a lot better game than people are expecting.
Hey, can we just talk quickly for a second about how Teddy Bridgewater would have been one of the NFL's elite quarterbacks if he didn't get hurt?
100%. He would still be in Minnesota.
Yep.
I don't blame Minnesota for moving on from Bridgewater when there were so many questions behind him.
Not at all, man.
But if he doesn't have that brutal knee injury, He's still in Minnesota, and Minnesota's leading their division.
Mhm.
You want to talk? Deshaun Watson and Teddy Bridgewater in the same division with, like, Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, or Deshaun Watson with Allen Robinson and co in Chicago versus Teddy Bridgewater and Dalvin Cook and co in Minnesota. Oh man, give me that any day of the week.
I was a little bit hesitant to say that I liked that contract when they signed Bridgewater, but you know what? Like, he's a franchise quarterback, I think, at this point.
100%. And I mean, again, if you were to put Bridgewater back in Minnesota, like without that injury, and then you have the Bears draft Deshaun Watson, oh man, that would have been so much fun. Those two games would be like prime time games every year.
Seahawks and Bills. It might surprise you when I tell you this, but I believe in terms of total yards, the Bills' offense is better than the Seahawks offense, and their defense is better than the Seahawks defense. There's also other categories. I think every category that I saw, the Bills were better than the Seahawks, but even still, I'm still taking the Seahawks this game.
I'm taking the Seahawks on this game because I feel like a lot of, like, I think their Carson and Hyde are going to be healthy. And Jamal Adams is supposed to be back.
The Bills are going to need a healthy Tremaine Edmonds hasn't been healthy all year. That's a big issue for Buffalo. Like, people have been talking about how much they want him gone. It's not going to happen because Tremaine Edmonds, it's in there somewhere, but he's been hurt all year. So cut the guy a break, right? Him and Matt Milano were a good team all last year. They would have been a good team again this year if they could stay healthy, but they're getting banged up. And that happens. But I don't think the Bills are going to be all hands on deck against the Seahawks, and this game's really going to hurt them.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like it's Russell Wilson, and I can't discount Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. You get like a Carlos Hyde or a Carson's back there on their run game, or like with Jamal Adams being healthy. I think the Seahawks are just they're destined to win the NFC West, and probably going to finish top in the NFC.
Yeah. Moving on, Broncos and Falcons. I'm taking the Broncos because I don't trust the Falcons.
Nope. I also like Drew Lock, and I'm riding that wave.
We talked about that one already.
And I think that Steelers game against the Broncos would have been different if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
I think there's a legitimate chance that they could have upset the Steelers.
No, I don't know if I'd go that far, but
hey, the way he was playing good before he got hurt.
True. Raiders are taking on the Chargers. I'm taking the Raiders because the Chargers like to lose by one point.
I just like to lose.
Yeah, I really like Derek Carr. I like what the Raiders are doing this year. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to be that sneaky dark horse pick to make some noise. And I think we're really going to start to see the Raiders have a nice little uptick as things get starting to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm taking the Raiders on this one.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we don't have a single game that's different yet.
No, and I mean, I think as we're getting into this portion of the season, we kind of know what to expect from teams, and there's going to be a lot of divisional games and a lot of important games. I wouldn't be surprised to see more and more weeks like this because of it.
Yeah. Dolphins and Cardinals. As good as the Cardinal or the Dolphins looked, offensively, I don't think they have the weapons. They don't have the quarterback just yet.
They gave up 400 yards and still won.
Yeah. Like, everything about that game screams fluke, and it came down to getting a bunch of turnovers and just pretty much making them look like Trevor Harris and not being able to put points on the board with crazy amounts of yards.
Yep.
So I also went for the Cardinals. So yet another game where we're both the same. Steelers and Cowboys. You know how I said that we wouldn't just gloss over games? That doesn't count when Cooper Rush is your quarterback.
Like Ezekiel Elliott could go off, but I don't see it happening.
He won't because
I mean, like I said, Steelers over the next 3 weeks have a chance to go 10-0.
They don't have the passing game to get Ezekiel Elliott the space to go off. Plus,
no, it's going to be great. It's going to be so nice.
Zeke looked like he didn't do anything but stop feeding himself in the offseason. He looks slow. He looks old. He doesn't look anywhere near the contract he was worth. I know, but that's bad. It's already this bad for Zeke.
And I mean, it's hard to really justify contracts with this current situation. You know, very limited like practice and training camp and whatnot. Some players just never find their groove in this kind of environment.
I mean, Zeke just looks worse every year.
See, I feel like Mike McCarthy was a problem. They should not have hired Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
There's rumors that Urban Meyer now might be interested in coming up.
Unbelievable.
So, like, who knows with that organization at this point?
Saints and Buccaneers, another big divisional game.
I'm taking Bucks.
So did I.
As much as I like the Saints, I just feel like there's a little bit – they have more consistency issues. I think this is a game that can go either way.
I'm picking a big game for Antonio Brown.
So I'm going to take the Bucks on this.
Yeah. I'm doing that as well. On our final game of the week, Shane, I'm sure we're going to have the same pick. The Patriots are heading to the Meadowlands to take on the New York Jets.
Patriots.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, you know what? I'm going to take the Jets. Just to be different, I'm going to take the Jets because if they're going to get one win this season, this is the game they're going to do it.
Bro, no way you're giving me a free win like this.
This is the one game that if they're gonna win one game this season, this is the game that it's gonna be. And just to be different, just to put a little bit of spice to it, I'm gonna take the Jets. Because if this is the one game if there's gonna be one game, if they finish 1-15, this is the game they win.
No way you're giving me a free win.
I mean, you need it.
That's true. Wow.
And who knows? You know, if the Jets win, you owe me an apology on air next Tuesday.
What do you owe me if the Jets lose?
I don't know. You have to tell me.
Oh, I don't even know how to punish you. You picked the Jets. You're punishing yourself. So we'll leave it at that.
You say that, but you guys beat the Jets by 8, and they scored the only touchdown.
Yep. Well, okay. So if we're gonna be fair about that, like I said last week, if Tyler Kroft knows how to run in a straight line, the Bills score a touchdown. If the Bills don't get caught on some bogus,
all I hear is excuses.
Formation.
All I hear is excuses.
Hey. If Tyler Bass knows how to kick field goals, Tyler Bass, by the way, I want to point this out. He's awful. He's like 50% from kicks between 30 and 39 yards or something like that, or 40 and 49 yards. And like of those misses, I don't know if one of them has actually hit the kicking net or not.
Like, I don't know. I still think that if they're going to get one win this season, it's going to be tonight, like this week. I think it's going to be either against the Browns, like their second last game of the season, or the Patriots, either this Monday or at the end of the year.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. I'll take it.
I'll give you. Hey, I mean, if they win, they win. If they don't, they don't. I'm not going to be upset about it.
I can't believe you actually picked the Jets. My 2 rules: I'm never picking against the Chiefs, and I'm never picking the Jets. Even though I think I picked the Ravens to beat the Chiefs.
You did.
Or whatever.
You did pick against the
but
Chiefs.
I'm never picking against the Chiefs again. I learned my lesson there. and I'm never picking the Jets.
Didn't Tennessee beat the Chiefs?
No.
Who beat the Chiefs? Because they're 7-1. Pretty sure Tennessee beat the Chiefs.
Did they beat the Chiefs? I don't know.
Pretty sure. I know a team beat them. They're 7-1.
Was the Bills. Let's see. Who done beat the Chiefs? The Raiders is who beat the Chiefs.
Right. Yeah, and then
Yes.
you guys lost to them the following week.
Yep, that's what happens when you get a pissed off Patrick Mahomes.
But here's the thing. I think this is the week that if the Jets will get one win this year. It's either against the Patriots or the Browns.
There's no way they're ruining the tank, bro. Come on.
You don't need to ruin the tank. You're gonna be 1-15.
So will the Giants.
Don't the Giants already have 2 wins?
I don't know. Anyway, we're at 9.
Oh no, the Giants are one. So you're gonna have the 2 bottom teams at 1 and 2. You're gonna have both New York teams at 1 and 2. It's fine.
No,
But
neither of those are New York teams. Just saying.
Yeah, I
The
mean
only
they're
real
New
team-
Jersey.
the only real New York team is the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and they don't really matter. So
They kind of matter more than the Jets and the Giants.
I'm pretty sure they're the only New York team not to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but have you been to 4 straight and lost 4 straight yet? No, I don't think so. So shut up.
No, but I've won 6.
Yeah, but have you lost 4 in a row?
You weren't even alive for those. At least I was
alive.
alive, and I remember the 2 Super Bowl wins and the Super Bowl loss to the Packers for the Steelers.
Sounds like I'm chilling then. Hey, have you ever experienced EJ Manuel as your starting quarterback? No.
No, I've had Big Ben.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever experienced Tyrod Taylor? No.
Hey, he made the playoffs.
Have
with
you
Tyrod.
ever experienced Sammy Watkins? Nope.
I mean, I like Sammy Watkins. He was a
I
Clemson
do
guy.
too. I do too. Actually, I have a Sammy Watkins jersey upstairs.
Hey, not my fault. My organization knows how to run a football team, and your organization
The Bills
is
are
okay being
okay
mediocre.
now. The Bills are okay now.
Now they were fucking running in mediocrity. Man, there was a time where the Jets were better than the Bills.
There was a time where the Jets were making the playoffs too. So
Yeah, and
anything
going to
can change.
the AFC conference final, the
Yeah.
AFC finals, and losing to the Patriots. Like what?
There was also a time where the Jets were running into people's asses, and I'm sure that they would love to go back to the butt fumble.
Yeah, Sanchez was a better quarterback than people gave credit to.
I'm sure if you ask a Jets fan right now which era they would rather be in, right now or the butt fumble era, I bet you they'd pick the butt fumble.
Yeah, but still better than the Bills.
All right, that's enough. I've had enough tonight.
It's true. Go back to your mediocrity.
I'm not even going to say we'll beat the Seahawks this week. We won't.
No, you also picked the Seahawks to beat the Bills
I know, but I hope
because
we don't, right?
goddamn faithful to your Bills.
Well, you know what? I don't have to worry about games this week because we both picked the same winners in each game.
Yeah, because you don't trust your Bills.
No,
You don't trust your Bills. You're
the
not true
defense
Bills fans.
sucks, dude.
You don't trust your Bills. Your Bills are a bad team. How can you be a Bills fan and not support them? Win or loss, babies. You gotta support.
Well, I support them, but I'm not going to predict them to win just because they're my favorite team. That's stupid.
Hey man, I've done it with Pittsburgh so far and it's worked out.
Yeah, because they're 7-0 and they're actually a good team.
Yeah. And they're gonna be 10-0 by the time they play the Ravens on Thanksgiving.
Watch them get clapped in that game and it just starts the fallout.
They'll be
They go back to
10-6. They'll probably still win. They'll probably still win the division. They'll at least make the playoffs.
The dressing room problems will start.
Nah.
Roethlisberger's going to be fat again. Anyway,
I am expecting to lose that game.
okay. Well,
I'm still gonna pick them to win, but I would not be surprised if we lost that game. I don't see us ending the season 16-0. I think if we're gonna lose a game, it's gonna be against the Ravens.
or it'll be the last game of the season.
Nah, we're not losing to the Browns or the Bengals. One of those two is our last game of the season.
Yeah, but if you're resting on your starters, you got Mason Rudolph or Ducky Hodges playing a quarterback.
I feel more confident with a healthy. If Connor with a better run game and Snell and Connor, I feel more confident with Rudolph or Dobbs back there this year than I did last year.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, anyways, guys, that'll be all for this week's episode. Not much excitement outside of the Jets on the Monday nighter, but
he took the Jets.
Yeah, and you're gonna. Hey, I'm going to go for the Jets. If the Jets win, oh man, next Tuesday is going to be a great episode. But it is what it is. This is all for the 13th Man podcast. Thank you guys for everyone who's tuned in, who's going to tune in on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. Thank you all for listening.
67s, let's go.
Thank you all for listening. You can find us at 13th Man Pod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can check out our website. We still have merch going on. Check out our Redbubble page. With Christmas down around the corner, definitely a good gift for any of the listeners. I know Frankie has one of the phone cases. We have a couple of merches like shirts and whatnot. So definitely head on over to the Redbubble page. Links are on Twitter and our website, so definitely go do that. For more myself and Frankie, you can find us at the Sens Hour podcast for myself, Sens_hour on Twitter and on Instagram. HPR for Frankie, Hockey Prospects Report. I believe you guys are only on Instagram and Facebook.
No, we're on Twitter. We don't have Instagram, so we're
Twitter and Facebook.
HPR_podcast on Twitter and HPR podcast on Facebook.
Yeah, and again, remember, Sens Hour is also on YouTube as well as us. So if you ever want to watch these live videos again, you definitely can, as well as our Facebook page, 13th Man Podcast, Twitter, 13th Man Pod. Frankie's at HPR, Frankie_13. Myself, Shane_Ryan97. Thank you guys all for listening. We will catch you back here next week with a brand new episode of 13th Man Podcast. Stay safe. And remember, wear a mask when you go outside, social distance, and we'll end this thing hopefully quickly. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you later.